Welcome to the Coming Strength and Fitness podcast. We are talking all things coffee, coming strength and fitness. This is going to be a good conversation. There's not a hidden agenda. There's not like a you should drink this though or you should not. Like, this is just all things. Let's talk about knowledge and how it's going to impact performance and ultimately impact health. I have two very special guests. We had 2 weeks ago, all things Coach Jen Cook. So she's back with us as a nutrition coach here and a voice on the podcast. Jen, how you doing?
I am great.
And I have the one and only, the goose, the sidekick, the main woman, the whatever you want to call her, the one and only Jill Thornton.
I thought you were going to say the goober. Also the goober. That's fine.
That's all. Maybe I should start introducing you like that. Jill, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just had a couple cups of coffee at the Waffle House.
Are you all caffeinated?
I feel great.
Caffeined up?
Yes.
So we are going to take a couple minutes and just talk about coffee more high level and then just maybe get into some like practical takeaways that we can just think about things. But I will say this. I am going to be the mediator and I'm going to interview you guys because I drink about 1 cup a month, like socially.
He's not even joking.
I don't drink coffee.
What? Yeah.
I know. I was going to see your response. So I'm not a coffee drinker. I know there's some wild unicorns out there like me that don't drink coffee, but I would say 99% of people do drink coffee, which is why this is relevant. So our icebreaker into this conversation is how much coffee do you drink a day and what is your coffee order? Oh. So for example, I save my one a month. It's probably 1 a month for like social gatherings. When I go to a restaurant with people, I'm like, man, just a nice warm black cup of coffee.
Do you have it at
great.
night when you have it?
No. Oh. I only have it maybe like before 10 a.m.
Yeah.
After that, nope, nothing. Because I don't have much caffeine in my system ever.
Yeah.
So 1 cup will actually like keep me awake. Mm-hmm. So mine's just a normal 1 cup of black coffee. Jill?
I have 3 cups a day.
3 cups a day.
Mm-hmm. I start first thing in the morning after a little bit of water. I have one around 10:30, and then I try to get my 3rd cup in by 2 because I try to make sure that I'm not having caffeine within 8 hours of bedtime.
Yep, that's a big thing. What's your normal order for those 3 cups?
Okay, so my first cup is just a little half and half to get me going. My second just depends. I sometimes just do another cup with half and half, or I'll put 1 pump of pumpkin sauce in it just to give it a little.
You say pumpkin sauce?
It's actually a sauce. It's not a syrup.
What?
I know this because they showed me. It's not in like a plastic bottle.
Is it like mushy?
It's a sauce. What? It's a pumpkin sauce.
Where do you get this?
What
at
in
Starbucks.
the world?
What? You get it at Starbucks.
Pumpkin sauce in my coffee?
Oh, it is. And it comes in like a silver tin. It's like a sauce.
Interesting.
It's not as pudding in her coffee.
Oh, yes, I do. And then my 3rd cup again is just a little bit of half and half. So I'm not really putting much in my coffee. I like it with just a little bit of half and half in it, and I'm good to go.
Jen, what about you?
I have about 2 cups a day, maybe 3 if I have time, but 2 cups, and I'm weird. So I have this frother thing. I'm really weird about my coffee. So Instant Pot, you know the Instant Pot, crock pot thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have a gadget. It's called Instant Frother. And I put in just a tiny bit of milk and then a little splash of syrup, and I froth it and plop it in my coffee, and it's like having
heaven. Yes. It's like having heaven.
I look forward to this before I go to bed.
Me too.
You drink it before bed?
No.
Like
I think about my morning
You
coffee.
think about it.
Yes.
So when you're laying your head on the pillow.
No, I do the same.
You're
We
like,
know.
I can't wait for my coffee
I
in the
know
morning.
the listeners out there do it too. You're literally getting ready for bed and you're like, I can't wait for my coffee in the morning.
Here's the thing. There's no judgment. I'm just genuinely curious because I'm not a coffee person.
When you start a statement with there's no judgment, you're judging.
No, there's no judgment at all. I promise you. Here's the thing.
It's the little things.
I am married to a coffee connoisseur. We bought a very expensive latte machine that sits on my kitchen counter, and she makes a very expensive lattes every morning, and they're very high quality because she loves coffee. I just don't do it. I just don't drink
You
it.
don't get it.
But there's no judgment, okay? So I'm just genuinely curious, which is why I am the interviewer and I have no value to add to this conversation. So anyways, that's curious. Okay, let's talk about actual coffee, some knowledge about coffee. What do the people need to know? So for example, yes, it is the bean and you do the water, blah, blah, blah. You make coffee. Yes, we all know what coffee is. But how does it actually affect us? Like how does like the amount of caffeine, the quality of coffee? Let's talk about the actual intricacies of coffee.
Let's split it up into positive effects and negative effects.
With anything, there's positive and negative with anything.
Yeah. So Jen, let's start with positive. Kick it off.
Well, the coffee can enhance your performance in the gym, at
Yes.
work, clarity, energy, motivation, tons of
Alertness,
stuff.
focus, helps with workouts, races. Like I know you're running and you coach people in running. So all of those
Got to
things.
be careful with that though.
Yeah, because the diuretic piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
The diuretic piece and sometimes GI upset. It can
Mm-hmm.
cause you to run to the bathroom.
It sure can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you guys correctly, the caffeine in coffee is a stimulant.
It is.
And it's going to increase all of your proprioception, your blood flow, your cognition, your focus, can increase athletic performance to a point, just like anything can, but it can help in that level.
Absolutely.
It's a
Concentration,
stimulant
focus.
for, everything.
It's a natural
Good or
stimulant
bad.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's different than like taking a pill or taking a supplement that's meant to enhance your focus and your workout. This is a natural stimulant.
Now, and I actually looked up too that quality coffee, not garbage coffee, but quality coffee actually has small amounts of vitamins and minerals in them, like magnesium and manganese that I realized I was like, oh, that's really cool. But that's more quality, not just the cheapy stuff.
Yeah.
So those are some physical benefits. But we talked a little bit earlier, coffee and food in general is way more than just physical.
Yes.
There is a very, very high emotional and relational positive benefit to coffee. For example, you guys look forward to it when you're putting your head on that pillow the night before.
Sure am.
You can share a really good intimate conversation with a friend or a mentor or someone over a cup of coffee. Many times work meetings happen, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee. There's so much relational and emotional health tied to coffee, which is why I honestly save my once a month for those times, because I know when you're just holding that cup of coffee with someone across the table, there's an extra connection for whatever reason.
Yes.
There's that positive benefit. So the people who are like anti-coffee, no, I used to be that, but I'm not, because like, no, there is a lot more benefits that are just non-physical to coffee.
It's just like anything, dosing. It's about
Sure.
how much, how often. And
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the things we need to be aware of, maybe on the trending negative side.
Let me add one more positive.
Okay,
If
sorry.
we talked about this.
Sorry.
It does count towards your daily fluid intake.
Counts towards your daily
So let's
fluid
say
intake.
you need to get X amount
Interesting.
of fluid per day based on your body weight, 1 ounce per pound of body weight. This counts.
So the universal hydration rule is you need half of your body weight in ounces of water every
Right.
single day. So I'm a really easy example. I'm 200 pounds.
Right.
I need 100 ounces of water.
Yep.
So if I drink 8 ounces of coffee in the
That
morning,
goes towards it.
that counts towards
Sure.
it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So does milk. So does like the broth in your soup.
Yep.
All of the liquids that you're consuming, besides alcohol, pretty much.
Interesting. Okay, well, that's a really good benefit. All right, what about the other things that we needed to know?
So before we hop into the negatives, let's talk about like what recommended doses are. Recommended dosing is. So the FDA recommends no more than 400 milligrams a day, which turns out to be about 4 or 5 cups. But here's the caveat. 1 cup is 6 ounces, and a standard coffee mug holds 12 ounces.
Interesting.
So it's like a double dose whenever you fill your mug up. Jen, what you got to say about that?
Yeah. And it also depends on how strong you're making your coffee,
That
right?
too, yeah.
So,
your bean sourcing and like, whether or not you're making it light brew or
Right,
dark brew
right.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know. This is a genuine question. It matters less about the actual coffee, but more about overdosing on the caffeine. Is that true? Like the 400 milligrams is more about you don't want to overdo the amount of stimulant you're getting from the
Correct.
caffeine,
Right.
rather than if coffee was just a beverage and it just had sugar and vitamins, water, it wouldn't matter that there's a recommended dosage
Right.
to it. So it really comes back to how much caffeine can my body tolerate, which is another part we can have this conversation is our body adapts. And the more we do, the more, like, I don't feel that same boost from coffee. So now you're drinking 6 to 8, 10 cups a day, which we know people who
Yes.
do,
Yes.
Yeah.
rather than, for example, me, I have my one little 6-ounce cup. And I'm like, whoa,
You're probably off the chain.
because I don't have caffeine.
I know.
Yeah.
I just have so much natural energy.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
But anyways, it is, what did you say, Jill? 400 milligrams. That's what you said.
Yes. Yep.
All right, what else?
All right, so let's go into some of the negative effects that caffeine and too much coffee can have. Now, if you're going for decaf, that might be a really good option, especially later in the day. But keep in mind that decaf even does still have a little bit of caffeine in it. So just keep that in mind. And if you're running
How do they
through,
make decaf? How do you
I
take
don't know.
caffeine
I don't
out
know.
of coffee?
I don't know either. It must have something to do with the bean or the way that it's
I have no idea.
brewed or some. I know someone out there knows. So if you know, send us a message and tell us how.
We
they
should
make
have had
decaf
Leighton
coffee.
on this, or Alexis, because they were actually baristas,
Yeah,
part-time
that would
baristas
have been
as
a
well.
good idea.
And they
Maybe
could've-
part 2. How do you make coffee?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know nothing. I
Yeah.
should not have been on this episode. But, okay, there are decaf does have small amounts of caffeine in them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What are some other negative parts
So,
to
I mean,
coffee?
obviously, if you have too much, it can cause some health problems like restlessness, insomnia, headaches, dizziness, fast heart rate, dehydration, anxiety. I mean, so as many positive benefits as it has is into drinking it in moderation, there is a flip side to that.
Okay.
It can definitely disrupt sleep for sure. If you drink too much, it can make you a bit jittery, things of that nature. So just making sure that you're having, the right dosing each day is super important.
It can affect your appetite as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. I'm really glad that you two are the ones I'm talking to about this because I want to unpack a hypothesis that I don't even know if I believe or not, but I just want to process this, okay? This is from a very naive, unintelligent coffee person, okay? So I think we all could agree that coffee, mainly the caffeine in the coffee, could become a crutch when we don't necessarily fuel our bodies the way we need to. If we right away wake up and have our coffee before having water, and then if we start to get headaches because we haven't had our coffee, there might be a slight dependency on the caffeine that we're doing, providing a crutch that like I can only survive with my coffee. But what I would like to process is, do you think that the energy and the vitality or like that stimulation feel you get from the caffeine, is there a way to get that through your nutrition, through the micronutrients that you get from whole, clean, real foods and the protein sources and all of that? That do you think that coffee replaces that, supplements that, or are those two separate categories? Am I making sense on what I'm asking?
Yeah, like can you get the same stimulation from a food as you get from coffee?
So here's the context of that question. I've
Okay.
talked to dozens and hundreds and probably thousands of people over the past 10 years, and I'm always curious about coffee and why they drink coffee. Most of the time it's because I need energy. I need energy, so I'm just going to drink my coffee. Where I know that when I personally eat a really good micronutrient dense, protein rich, whole clean real food breakfast in the morning and drink lots of water with electrolytes in it, I have just as much energy that if I had a cup of coffee. Granted, everybody's different and you
Right.
might need an extra boost, but do you think that sometimes we can rely on that coffee to give us that extra boost rather than focusing on our whole rich clean meals throughout the day and then having coffee as a supplement, or do you think that's not the case?
I think personally, I feel like if you are doing coffee because you are sleeping
5
terribly,
hours, 4
right?
hours,
If you're
yeah.
exhausted because you're not getting enough sleep, you don't have a healthy diet, and you're just reaching,
It's a
grasping
Band-Aid.
at straws.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
good.
Not the best use.
But I don't think
yeah.
there's a food that can replace the caffeine.
Yeah,
good.
it's just
That's
because
good.
this is a stimulant.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of an orange or a banana. Now, they do provide your body with carbs, which provides your body with energy, but it's not necessarily a stimulant.
That stimulant.
Yes.
I also
Gotcha.
feel a lot of people grab that caffeine in the in like the afternoon hours because they haven't had enough water and they have
Or
a
sleep.
headache
or
Yeah.
sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they think, oh, I need coffee to get rid of this headache. Yeah,
Yes.
it's going to help a little bit, but maybe you just needed to have,
Yes.
a huge glass of water
Yes.
and a snack.
Or a nap, a 5-minute
Yes.
power nap. So I think to answer the question is if you're filling in a gap in your health or your nutrition or not sleeping well with caffeine, that's where it becomes a big
That's
problem.
yes.
If you're trying to fill
That's it.
gaps with it.
Exactly.
Also, a cup of coffee does not replace a meal.
No.
Good point.
You do not drink a coffee for
No.
lunch.
No.
Great
Or,
point.
and this might hurt some feeling, or breakfast.
No.
Now, if you're drinking a cup of coffee, then working out, then coming home and eating breakfast, I'm
That's
fine
different.
with that.
That's different.
But it doesn't replace meals. at
Unless
all.
it's the 800 calorie drink from Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
That's
with the
most
amount
of
of
the
sugar.
right.
Did
Yes.
you guys see that drink?
No.
Oh my! Did you
800
see that?
No.
Okay, it
800
might be more than
calories?
that. It might be in the thousands. It has as much sugar as a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts. I think it's their pumpkin latte.
I don't even think I could get one sip down.
No.
I don't even think I could
I think
get
my
a sip.
stomach just turned listening to that.
Yes,
Yeah.
look it up. I think it's
I
like their
am-
pumpkin latte
Yes.
or something
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
my word.
Disgusting.
All that to say, coffee does not replace a meal.
No,
you know?
never.
However, it can reduce your hunger.
For sure.
So a lot of people are able to get by drinking a cup of coffee.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
then if you throw all the other things in it, like the milk and the sugar and the sauces and the
Yeah.
syrups and everything, it feels filling, but you're going to be hungry an hour later. But
I liked, Jen, that you brought up the sleep component. And if I'm just kind of synthesizing and summarizing what we just said there, is that a tendency can be to use coffee / the caffeine in there as a band-aid to a gap in our lifestyle, our health lifestyle choices or habits. Like we said, if we're only sleeping 4 hours a night, if we're not eating whole, clean, real foods, if we're not drinking the water, or maybe a quick five-minute power nap, or getting 30 minutes of continuous movement every single day, then yeah, that coffee can be a quick fix that we can just feel really good. But our bodies are designed that when we're sleeping well, eating clean, and moving often to sustain our energy, and we can use the coffee as an enjoyment, but also kind of boost it as an enhancement rather than a dependency.
A tool.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's my main takeaway, and the thing I wish I could get to most people is that our lifestyle habits and choices are way more important. They're the biggest piece of the pyramid, kind of upholding your lifestyle, that coffee shouldn't replace one of those, but it can enhance and take it to the next level rather than replace solid sleeping habits or solid nutrition habits. But once we have those in place, awesome, great. Let's rock and roll.
Coffee brings me happiness.
Joy.
Like, it literally makes me happy to think about it.
All right, here's a quick question.
Does that mean we have a problem?
Alex is like, moving on. I don't get it.
No.
We need coffee rehab.
Black coffee only with nothing in it. Do you genuinely enjoy the taste?
Can't.
There's no right or wrong answer. It's just preference.
So to me, I think coffee is a little bit like wine. It is an acquired taste.
Yes.
Like, you start with a latte, which is mostly milk and all the sugar and cream, and then you get to the point where it's mostly coffee with like a splash of half and half is where I am.
Interesting.
Black coffee's not my favorite. I have to have a little bit of cream in there. I don't know if it's like I don't like the color and I want it to be a little bit lighter. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
My thing is I can't do black coffee. The bean water coffee. I can do espresso with nothing in it.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do an espresso shot.
So it's not necessary. I think it's just
yeah. Drip coffee, black drip coffee. I struggle
compared
with
to
that.
the espresso.
Jen, tell us really quick about what you were saying before we started recording as far as like how coffee is brewed in different areas of the world, that in different areas of the world, a lot of the coffee in America, especially like the fast food type quick type coffee is what they call bean water, that is more watered down, not the actual high quality coffee. For example, I remember my dad went over to Ethiopia for a work trip like years ago and had coffee, and he's like, the coffee over there is vastly different than the coffee over here.
Yeah.
And I think just kind of going back to quality coffee, finding like a third wave coffee shop that actually can give you that rather than just grabbing the Maxwell or grabbing the Dunkin' on the way, which kind of going back to those lifestyle habits is very easy just to make it super quick because you're rushed in the morning and you're going to go to work and you're going to fill your 40 ounce up with coffee and that's your breakfast. Like, okay, we can unwind some of those habits versus if we actually enjoy some good quality coffee like we do, it can enhance your life. So that's my takeaway.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway.
Yeah.
I like it.
Last branch or conversation of this bucket of this conversation is the intersection between performance and health and working out. How does coffee and caffeine, maybe less about how, or what are some of the parameters and things we should be thinking about when we come to a Coming Strength and Fitness class? Let's say a 6 a.m. class or a 4:30 p.m. class. Like, what are some of the things we need to be thinking about when in terms of timing of our coffee, amount of coffee, what are we putting in our coffee? What are some good parameters?
A couple of parameters just to start is you'll want to have it 30 to 60 minutes before you work out. You know, if you're using this as your quote unquote pre-workout, you know, getting kind of amped up and ready for your workout. Studies do show that caffeine can help increase your performance by up to 5%. That's big.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So it can help improve performance. There's a lot of physical benefit to caffeine. But definitely consuming 30 to 60 minutes prior to working out is the ideal time frame.
Yes.
Interesting. Jen, would you add anything?
I can add in the endurance
Please.
realm.
I'd love it.
So for runners, you have to play with the caffeine. You don't know how it's going to affect your body. So you can try taking 30 to 60 minutes before your run, and it may help. For my endurance athletes that are going to be on a long run, you might want to take it later on in your run for a little added boost of energy. I know in some of the endurance nutrition products, there will be caffeine, like microdosing in them. So maybe saving those caffeine packets or products for later on in your events or training.
Okay.
That's smart.
Okay. That's super helpful.
Yeah.
What about later on in the day? Does it matter? Like, for example, Jill, you have your afternoon cup. Like, if you do or don't have your 2 p.m. glass and you're going to work out at 4:30 or 5:30, does that matter? Or is it more about the morning or like?
It's more about bedtime. So you just want to time it in terms of, well, because sleep to me is more important than my performance in the workout at this point. Now, your goals and priorities might be different.
But I would also say that your quality of sleep is actually a big determining factor of your performance rather than having your coffee or not.
They all play together. Yeah.
So,
ideally you would have it with before 8 hours of bedtime so that it doesn't cause any sleep disruptions or things like that. And then let's think about this. Let's say you're taking a pre-workout, you take the 5:30 class, you take a pre-workout an hour before. That's going to have stimulant in it. So that could be disruptive to your sleep. So it's just definitely something to keep in mind.
That's good.
I don't want anybody to you're going to have to edit this out. You just want to make sure that you're not entering a negative feedback loop. Taking it too late where it affects your sleep, and then you have to drink extra in the morning because you didn't get enough sleep because you were up.
Right.
So not entering that negative cycle where it's bandaging the damage you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's good. We're rounding third, kind of heading home this conversation. Any tips or tricks as far as like coffee orders, like just casually out and about?
Yeah.
Jen?
I've been doing this for a while, and I saw that you just did this. You can add whey protein powder, like a vanilla or pumpkin spice
way.
to your coffee.
Blitz it.
Yes.
My mind
And
is
then
blown
froth.
right now.
Blitz
No
it.
way.
Yes.
It makes it frothy.
It's a cheap way. Pumpkin spice latte, first form, they make a great pumpkin flavor.
Yes.
Put that in your coffee, froth it up. You get
No
a nice
way.
froth, add some whipped cream on top, some
it's
cinnamon.
amazing.
And you get protein
and
in
you're
it.
getting
And you get protein.
protein. Yes.
My mind is
That's
blown.
a hack.
So
That's
you're
a big
going to
time
start
hack.
drinking coffee
I
now.
might go from 1 to 2 times a month.
It's a big time hack. It's a big time hack. I put my recipe on my Instagram if
Yes,
anybody wants to go
yes,
see
it's
it
on
of how I make a protein coffee with the little squirt of whipped cream on the top.
Yes.
It's literally like
You got to make it fancy.
all three of my favorite things. You've got protein, you've got
Coffee and dessert and sugar.
It's literally so good. And pumpkin. Coffee,
Yeah.
pumpkin, and protein like just made my life.
That is Jill in a beverage right
It's me
there.
and a beverage. It's me and a beverage. So my tips are going to be when you're ordering a coffee out. So a lot of people go to Dunkin' or Starbucks or Myth and Legend up here. When you're ordering, be aware of what's going in it.
Yeah.
So if you look like at a grande latte, they're putting like 5 pumps of syrup in there. Every pump of syrup is adding up. So decrease it. Instead of getting 5, get 2. That'll decrease your calories by half, literally.
Wow.
And when you order a latte, just know that is mostly milk. And a lot of the calories are going to come from what milk you choose and from the milk itself. So instead of doing a latte, just add a little bit of half and half in there for your dairy or your cream. And that will significantly reduce the calorie density in the drink as well. So just be really smart about how you order and have an awareness of what's going in there. If you knew that a venti had 12 pumps of syrup in it, and that was literally 400 calories of syrup.
Oh, jeez.
And you just reduce that by a third.
Yeah.
It still tastes great, and you're getting like a third of the calories out of the drink. So all of these coffee shops have their nutrition information online in PDF form, most of them PDFs. You can look at what's in them. Take a look at how they make it, look at
Interesting.
what's in them, and just pull back on the sugar and all of the milk fat if you want to. Now, if you want your full fat milk, have that too.
But you can do fat-free. You can do
fat-
almonds.
You can do anything.
a ton,
Yes. And
So
if
sorry.
if you add half and half, just a couple of tablespoons, it tastes like a latte,
Yeah.
but it's not all milk.
Correct.
It's coffee plus milk, not milk plus coffee.
You're gonna make fun of me so much. People are gonna laugh at me. But half and half is half cream, half milk,
Water.
half water.
Right? Cream
don't
and
know.
water.
I don't even know
It's
how
milk
to
and
do
water.
Milk and cream.
Milk
Thought it
and
was milk
cream.
and cream.
Milk and.
I know nothing.
I'll
That's why
tell
I'm
you what
asking
it
a
is. It's
question.
milk and delicious.
It's dairy.
It's dairy.
What I'm hearing from you, Jill,
Yeah.
is that if we're not intentional or aware, a lot of things can sneak into our coffee order, and then over time, like we said, small habits add up.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Even
You're
if it's just
drinking
our
your
coffee,
calories.
we
Yes.
can
Yes.
drink an extra. For example, if we want to be in a 200 or 300 calorie deficit, but we're drinking 400 extra calories in our venti, that
It's
could
over.
literally make or break your deficit or surplus in your nutrition. But you're crushing it in your meal prepping and
Yes.
doing everything else. But I mean, that's why you need to be intentional about that.
Yeah.
So, because there is like the content of it, but there's also the caffeine of it.
Yeah.
I mean, coffee itself is just, it's a separate category, but we need to be aware of the caffeine part
All
and
the things
performance,
in
and
it.
then also the
Yeah.
sugary
Yes.
extra calories in there as well.
So just the takeaway is I'm not saying don't drink your latte, don't go to Starbucks, don't go to Dunkin', don't go out I'm saying be aware of what's going in your coffee.
Awareness.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place. There's a
Yes.
reason why I only have crumble cookie once every week or two because I love
You know
it.
what? We're gonna do an
And the-
episode on cookie consumption. And then
I
I'm going
can
to
add
put
a
my
lot-
judgy pants on.
Yeah.
And interview.
Interview me. I do not have judgy pants on. This is genuine curiosity. I just had nothing to add to this conversation. But yes,
You
I could add.
actually did.
I could add a lot to the cookie conversation. But I know that that's high levels of sugar, high calories, and I'm only going to have it every once in a while. There's
You
going to
have
be
an
margin.
awareness. You
Out
know.
of the
Yes.
80-20, 20% margin, I'm going to enjoy crumble cookie. 80% I'm going to enjoy everything else. Kind of like what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm going to enjoy my yummy, yummy latte once in a while, but my other times I'm going to be aware of what my coffee
Yes.
order is.
And this is where the
It's attention to
internet is
manage.
a wonderful tool. Google a menu.
Yeah.
Look at it. Look what's in it. Look what's in the
Especially
ingredients.
those chains.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's good. Anything else, guys? This has been very helpful, just kind of all things coffee. Anything else you guys want to add or share to the coffee conversation?
I think we hit it.
Share with
I don't
us
like
your favorite.
iced coffee as much as hot coffee. What about you?
I like hot coffee.
Yeah, me too.
Hot.
I drink the
hot.
iced coffee way too fast.
I will drink a hot coffee in August out on the boat
Wow.
with steam coming off of it.
I think
just
it's
love
the
it so much.
experience of the coffee, the warm mug in my
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
The iced coffee, I'm like, I'm just doing this.
Yeah, and
because
it does go
it's
by
like-
fast.
Yeah.
It's like over.
Yeah.
I want it to
I
last.
want to, yes, an experience where my coffe's like warm by the time I'm done with it.
Do you
not
ever
hot.
finish it and think you're a little you're like, it's over.
Yes.
It's over. It's so sad.
yes.
Yeah.
Guys, this has brought me
Jill,
so
we
much
have
joy.
problems. What do you do?
This brought me so much joy.
Let's go get a coffee.
Let's do it.
Hilarious.
I'll
If
be
you
my
guys
fifth cup of the day.
want to come have a coffee with us, we'd love it. Thank you so much for this conversation, guys. We're going to pick things up next time in 2 weeks. Until then, Jill,
You're a legend.
bye, guys.